Oh, and neither of us got traded either, though. I was this close to going on waivers to the Flint
Don't say that.
Tropics. Hello from SportsCenter, hello from New York, and hello, Sage Steele.
Hello, Keith Olbermann. One of the most stressful days of the year for NBA executives, coaches, and players. The trade deadline has come and gone. There was some chaos, but not so much in New Orleans, Louisiana. Anthony Davis, still a Pelican. Once they refused to strike a deal with the Lakers, the fact that he is still there, really not a huge surprise. Woj joins us for more on that in a moment. But first, there were moves made late this afternoon, and the Toronto Raptors made the biggest move of the day, grabbing Marc Gasol from the Grizzlies. In exchange, the Raptors got a trio of players to Memphis, including 2013 first-round pick Giannis Valanciunas. Also, the Bucks made a move, getting Nikola Mirotic from the Pelicans. Mirotic is averaging close to 17 points per game and gives Milwaukee another shooter to spread the floor for Giannis. The Lakers, as we now know, the Lakers did not get Anthony Davis, but they did move Michael Beasley and Ivica Zubac to the Clippers for Mike Muscala. The move also frees up a roster spot if LA wants to grab a potential buyout player. And the #1 overall pick in 2017 was traded to the Orlando Magic. Markelle Fultz for Jonathan Simmons. And a pair of picks. Fultz played just 33 games in Philly after dealing with shoulder issues that altered his shooting stroke, among other issues in Philadelphia. Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski. Hi, nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you lately. You are still standing, and we are thrilled at that. Okay, Anthony Davis.
I'm sitting.
This is true, sitting. What a couple of hours leading up to this, Woj. Anthony Davis, still a Pelican, medically cleared to play again. The finger is fine, so the team now has an interesting decision to make. Do they play him and risk him getting injured for a possible future deal? How do they handle this, Adrian?
Well, there's a lot of momentum in that organization to not play him at all and just sit him. And that's still a decision they're coming to in New Orleans. Now, Anthony Davis and his agent, Rich Paul, have said he plans to play when he's healthy. Honors contract, finish the season. But for this organization, the risk of him getting injured, having injury, and that impacting his trade value, he has declared that he wants to be traded, that he won't re-sign with them, and they're going to treat him differently now. That's just a fact of where it is for this organization. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out, and if the league office will have any opinions on this. This is to have a premier player in the league essentially maybe be told just to sit from the All-Star break on. It's not good for the league.
Not a free agent until 2020. And remember, Boston now so happy nothing got done. They still have a shot now, maybe sometime this summer to land him there. Interesting how this Grizzlies situation worked out. The Grizzlies brass told Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, we're putting you out there. They're going to try to trade them. Ends up only Gasol ended up being traded to Toronto, not Mike Conley. This is after an emotional goodbye Tuesday in Memphis. What happened?
Well, they found a deal in Gasol with Toronto that they could live with. And they went down the road with Charlotte in recent days. And Toronto, Masai Ujiri, their president, swooped in really here in the last 24 hours, got this deal done. Mike Conley, there were really serious talks with Utah, with Indiana. In the end, they just didn't feel like they got enough value at the deadline now. They can revisit a trade with Mike Gasol or with Mike Conley later. But he'll finish the year. And I know J.B. Bickerstaff, their coach, is thrilled to have him back. They do think he's really important, especially with rookie Jaren Jackson, to still keep him in the lineup for now.
But then again, that's a big pickup for the Toronto Raptors, Marc Gasol going north of the border. Finally, the Markelle Fultz experiment in Philadelphia is over, Woj. He's now with the Orlando Magic. So much went on with this kid since being picked #1 overall in 2017. What was the final straw?
Well, listen, this organization is now fully in the now, and they made the trade for Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, and Markelle Fultz to them had become a reclamation project. For Orlando, they saw this as low risk, high reward. They didn't have to give up a lot for Fultz. They like the idea of Steve Clifford, their head coach, working with him, and they're taking this as a long-term project. They're not treating him like #1 overall pick. They're treating him like a player that needs help, support, and they'll see if they can get him back. This is a gifted player. He's still very young, and he's still got a lot of, he still has potential for a big future ahead of him.
Sure. You look back at the past few years, though, with the Philadelphia 76ers, Okafor, Simmons still coming along, Fultz. It's been a fascinating couple of years, and they're still hanging in there in the Eastern Conference. Adrian Wojnarowski, deep breaths. Thank you.
Thanks,
you
Sage.
survived. The deadline has come and has gone. Thank you very much.
Thank
Keep us
you.
up to date on anything else if anything comes available. Also, Stephen A. Smith joins us for his take on the Los Angeles Lakers, their future after they did not get Davis, and Kevin Durant went on a rant. If you didn't hear, you don't want to miss this. Keith? To the association we go. Look at the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference right now. Milwaukee sits on top, 2 games ahead of the Toronto Raptors. Celtics sit third, followed by the Pacers and the Philadelphia 76ers. Most of those top teams, most of them were busy at today's trade deadline. The biggest move north of the border, Raptors making a move with the Grizzlies to bring Marc Gasol to Toronto. He spent his entire 11-year career with Memphis and will now be paired with Kawhi Leonard in Toronto's quest for a title. The Bucks, they're the ones with the best record in the East, in the NBA for that matter, and they nabbed Nikola Mirotic from the Pelicans. Mirotic gives the Bucks another shooter for a team who's making 13 threes per game this season, which is second most in the league. And the Sixers, once again, they made noise 2 nights ago, getting Tobias Harris in a 6-player deal with the Clippers. Harris in the middle of a career season, averaging over 20 points per game and over 43% from beyond the arc. ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler joins me now. And Tim, nobody is satisfied apparently at the top of the Eastern Conference standings. Everybody knows, hey, LeBron's out. We got to go for this to win it now. I want to know now, we just saw the standings.
Yeah.
How would you rank these top 5 teams right now?
Yeah, I had an hour-and-a-half flight up here today, Sage, and I couldn't wait to land to see what happened while I was in the air.
Yeah,
it's
really
amazing what happened at the top of the Eastern Conference. Let's get right into this. I think pretty clearly, number 5, you're going to have to go with the Indiana Pacers. No Victor Oladipo. I love their chemistry. I love their toughness. I love their coaching. They don't have enough talent to be able to hang in there. And honestly, Brooklyn might be a better team than them when the playoffs start, but they're 7 games behind them. They're not going to catch them, but Brooklyn might be actually more dangerous once the playoffs start. Number 4, I'm going to go with the Toronto Raptors. That might seem kind of low, but it has more to do with these other 3 teams and what they've done lately, including today, than it does anything with Toronto. I think if I have one issue with the Raptors, I don't know if they have enough 3-point shooting when they get to a playoff series against some of these teams and enough firepower. Marc Gasol is obviously a big pickup, but depth and overall shooting might be a problem.
But that's fascinating. They bring in him, Gasol, and then they drop from 2 to 4.
For me, they do, and there's a reason here, and I'll get to it right now. Boston, to me, I'm going to put them at number 3. Now, they've won 9 out of 10. They're getting their act together defensively and offensively. Guys are accepting their roles. There's a pecking order now. I'm more consistent. I have more faith in what they are going to do every night because they're starting to buy in to what this is going to be. It took a long time, and Gordon Hayward still has his best basketball yet to come. I'll put them at number 3. Number 2, I'm moving Philly up there. Right now, on paper, this is the second best starting lineup in the NBA. And people worry about their depth. I don't worry about that anymore. Jonathan Simmons comes in, Mike Scott, James Ennis. You get Boban in there. This is a team now that's got the depth, but more importantly, Sage, they've got more guys in their starting lineup you can run your offense through than any of these teams. I think if they can find the chemistry, which is a big... The
chemistry is the one, with Embiid.
They could end up 4th or 5th easily if they don't find the chemistry. And for me, number 1 is going to be Milwaukee. And people might say, well, geez, they added Mirotic. Is that really enough to keep them there all year? There's something special about this team. They're top 5 both ends of the floor. They've got a true superstar leading them. Great 3-point shooting team. And now Mirotic is a perfect addition. But most importantly, this might be the most complete team I've seen start to finish. There's been no blip in the radar since the season started.
Yeah.
There's something special about them, and I love the way that they're coached. I think the Bucks still are going to be the number 1 team.
With Coach Bud leading the way there. But this is a very fluid situation.
Any
3,
of these
4,
teams
5.
capable of beating each other.
Absolutely. This is going to be a
series.
blast, the last 30 or so games of the regular season. Tim Legler, thank you.
Thanks.
We're ticking down. We're whittling away at this deadline clock here. It's now 2:16 and counting. Thus far today, it's been quiet. Almost too quiet. But we had some action last night. The Rockets trying to make a run at this thing. Picked up the defensive specialist, the former NBA champ, Iman Shumpert, from Sacramento. 3-team deal. Houston sends a protected first-rounder to Cleveland in the trade.
Another former NBA champ on the move. The Mavericks shipping Harrison Barnes to the Kings for Zach Randolph and fellow Tar Heel Justin Jackson. Dallas shedding some salary after taking on a few big contracts in that Kristaps Porzingis deal.
It's looking increasingly likely that Anthony Davis will stay in New Orleans, but the Pelicans bringing in reinforcements anyway. They get Markieff Morris. The Wizards getting in return Wesley Johnson and a future second-round pick in the deal.
Speaking of the Wizards, David, the John Wall injury news has Washington making moves. The Wizards clearing some money off the books, sending Otto Porter Jr. to Chicago in exchange for Bobby Portis and former second overall pick Jabari Parker.
Of course, Tobias Harris was traded to the Sixers in the wee hours yesterday morning, set to make his debut with the team tomorrow night at home against the Nuggets. Philly making a big move, hoping for big results. The Sixers currently in 5th in the East, 6.5 back of the Bucks. Our front office insider, Bobby Marks, joining us now. So the Sixers' mentality seems to be, let's win and let's win now. What else can they do in their situation as we run up to the deadline here, Bobby?
Well, you're right, and the Tobias Harris trade was costly. 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and now you're locked in with this roster. But it's a good roster. Now you still have, remember, Markelle Fultz, still there, former #1 pick. If he is going to be on the market, probably a first-round pick back. He would be the guy as far as your lone asset. These 3 players here, TJ McConnell is a backup. They're all staying. You cannot trade a first-round pick until 2022. This team's going to get expensive down the road. Where I think you're going to see some reinforcements coming, the buyout market. These are 4 names to keep an eye on. Wesley Matthews of the Knicks, Garrett Temple of the Grizzlies, Justin Holiday of the Grizzlies, and Wayne Ellington, who was just traded to Phoenix. So if you put Matthews in, and we'll take JJ out for right now, that's kind of where you're going to see some depth. But this is kind of who your team is, and it's a good team. I mean, this is one of the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference. But going forward, $600 million for the next 4 years to keep this group together. So you're really going to have to hit on some of your minimum guys down the road. But for right now, right this moment, this is a top 3 team in the East.
Okay, they're casting their cap with these guys. We'll see if they can add a piece or 2 to make a title run. We'll see if it happens in Philadelphia. Bobby Marks, our NBA front office insider, as we move towards the NBA trade deadline. Coming up tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern, the Nuggets and those Sixers getting together. We'll get a chance to see Tobias Harris in that game on ESPN. Looking forward to that. And then afterwards, at 9:30 Eastern, the back half of the doubleheader, the Timberwolves and the Pelicans. Will Anthony Davis still be on the roster, and will he be on the floor? All sorts of questions about what New Orleans is going to do moving forward if they can't deal AD at the deadline.
All right, new on SportsCenter, we have a trade. A person familiar with the negotiations says the Philadelphia 76ers are adding James Ennis from the Houston Rockets in exchange for draft considerations. The person speaking on condition of anonymity pending the NBA trade call to complete the deal. Now, Philly will become the 6th club for the well-traveled Ennis, who averaged just over 7 points for the Rockets this season. Ennis has also played for Miami, Memphis, Houston, and New Orleans.
We dropped this news at 8 a.m. on a Monday on purpose.
It gives Magic basically the floor for the next 10 days with limited competition.
If you guys really want me, y'all got between now and the trade deadline to make it happen.
Well, really, Rich Paul and Anthony Davis now have all the leverage in the world to pick where they want to go.
I mean, this could be the most consequential NBA trade since Kareem to the Lakers.
And for more, we welcome in our NBA insider, Brian Windhorst. Brian, just a little over 2 hours away from the trade deadline. Anthony Davis is still a Pelican. If he's not dealt, what are you hearing about the plan for AD with the Pelicans for the rest of this season?
Yeah, at 3:01, Jay, we could potentially see a bit of a standoff between the Pelicans and Anthony Davis. He wants to start playing again. He's been cleared to return from the finger injury, and he doesn't want to sit for the next 2 months. But the Pelicans are very likely to shut him down the rest of the season, protect him from injury, and also potentially create an awfully awkward situation next week at the All-Star game, which might be the last time he plays this season.
Wow. That will be awkward. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that. Who else are you keeping an eye on that could be traded before the deadline, 3 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, I think we'll still see some minor moves like you just mentioned with James Ennis, but the big names that are left out there, the all-star type names, are Mike Conley and Marc Gasol with the Memphis Grizzlies. Those are talks that have gone on for the last month, and the Grizzlies are really motivated to get something done with Gasol today. He can opt out and become a free agent at the end of the season, which I'd expect him to do if he is not traded. Gasol has been linked to Charlotte, but they've not been able to get that deal done. And from what I am told, they are not really making that much progress on it. Conley has several different suitors, including Detroit, Toronto, and Utah, but it's been difficult to put a deal together because Memphis's asks are very high. And it's important to realize that they can hold on to him. He's got 2 years left on his contract and look to trade him in the summer. Also, keep an eye on Nico Mirotic. He is very available from the Pelicans. You've got several teams, including the Raptors, Jazz, and maybe even the Rockets, interested in his services.
Okay, Brian Windhorst, thank you much. You can see much more of Brian on the Jump Trade Deadline Special, top of the hour here on ESPN. He's going to join host Rachel Nichols with Paul Pierce, Tracy McGrady, Scottie Pippen, and more. They're going to have you covered with all the latest news and information as we move toward the NBA trade